And we are now live. Welcome, everybody, to the Phys Ed Summit 2.0. Thank you so much for joining us on this amazing journey. My name is Jonathan Jones. I am from Washington, D.C. I teach in Prince George's County, which is about 20 minutes outside of Washington, D.C. Reminder that we are streaming 4 to 5 live sessions at the same time. And so if anything happens, please refer to your conference program where the links will be updated for the new videos. We've done this before, so fingers crossed, nothing happens. But in case something does happen, first and foremost, we would like to thank you for being a part of the Phys Ed Summit. This is a unique, one-of-a-kind, free PD that you can enjoy from the comfort of your home. And as Amanda, our keynote speaker, said, who is also one of our presenters today, that our students matter. So thank you for taking the time to make yourself better, which directly affects your students. We'd also like to thank Spark PE. Spark PE is our official sponsor of the Phys Ed Summit, and Spark is a research-based company which also partners with San Diego State University. And they're a strong supporter of online physical education professional development. You can visit Spark's website at sparkpe.org to learn more about Spark PE teachers and also their resources, on-site workshops, and their content-matched equipment. Just like last Phys Ed Summit, Spark is gracious enough to supply raffle prizes for our viewers today. The raffle prizes include 1 Spark Dance DVD, 1 digital physical education program, 1 Summer Institute registration, and 1 $150 gift certificate to the Spark store. After the summit, we will push out a feedback survey. Those who complete the feedback survey by February 28th will automatically be entered into the drawing for the prizes. So please stay tuned for the link to that feedback survey, which we will also be posting at the end of our slideshow today. Also, we encourage you to be a part of the conversation today. We have a Today's Meet link in the conference program where you're encouraged to ask questions of our presenters. You're also encouraged to share your successes on physical literacy. And then during the presentation and during the question and answer, we will be sharing your questions with the presenters so they can answer them on camera. Our Today's Meet link, in case you don't have your conference program, is todaysmeet.com/physicalliteracy2. So again, it is todaysmeet.com/physicalliteracy2. Now for our presenters today. We have 2 fantastic presenters who are joining us. Our first presenter, you might know from our keynote speaker. Our keynote speaker is Amanda Stanec. Amanda has been a physical education professional since the late 1990s. She is a founder of Move, Live, Learn. Move, Live, Learn serves the physical education, sport, and wellness sectors through a social justice lens while developing curriculum programs and/or research initiatives. Amanda has taught physical education at a K-12 and higher education levels. She is a mother of 2, married to MacGyver, and loves to compete in endurance activities. You can learn all about Amanda's work at www.movelivelearn.com. And you can follow her on Twitter at @MoveLiveLearn. Our second presenter today is Bill Walters. Bill, following a 33-year teaching career in health and physical education in Ontario, is now pursuing a doctorate in education at St. Francis Xavier University in Nova Scotia. Bill is an online instructor in the teacher education program at Queen's University. His work in program development and physical literacy led Bill being awarded the 2012 and 2013 PHE Canada Physical Education Teaching Excellence Award. A passionate physical educator, Bill feels that concept of physical literacy changed his approach to teaching physical education and to his own personal fitness. And to quote Amanda, Bill is the man. So now I'm going to kick it to our presenters today, Amanda Stanec and Bill Walters.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jonathan. If you ever get in your retirement, as Bill pursues a PhD in his retirement, you might want to consider a career in broadcasting. Very impressive. As you can see, we're doing things a little bit different today. We welcome some colleagues to come on into the session to hopefully make it eliminate maybe some of the choppiness to hear from people who are listening. So just want to allow Daniel and Nathan to quickly introduce themselves and tell the group where they are, what they teach, and what time it is where they are. Okay, well, Nathan changed his mind. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, Daniel.
Well, I'm teaching in Greensboro, North Carolina, so it's about 10 a.m. here. You know, pretty standard for us. A little chilly outside for us. We got half an inch of snow. So pretty good. Been teaching elementary school for 9 years now, so I'm loving it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming, and we'll keep going because Nathan had to run somewhere. But Nathan, it's 2 in the morning. He's in Sydney, Australia, and he got up to be a part of this session, which is so amazing. So we just want to really, welcome everyone. And before we get started, we're just going to, invite you to have the option to move a little bit. So what we want to do is, like with our students, we always want to give them choice, and then we're going to get right into all the other stuff in a moment. But we don't have too much that we can't take some activity time, right? So we want to give you the option. You can just step away from your computer, and you have the option of doing a 6-point plank. So maybe one on your forearms or on your hands with your knees maybe on the floor, if 6-point, or 4-point, so raising your knees off the floor, or you can do a 2-point, so like any type of side plank. So we're gonna do that for about 30 seconds on each side. So you can just step away and, I should have brought some music. I won't sing. I'm a horrible singer. So you just move away and we'll just do a little plank. I'm literally gonna unplug my headphones here and do it myself. We'll be back in 1 minute. Okay, and now you should be switching it up for the last 30 seconds. My headphones are dangling by my face. Does it have a stand-up desk? All right. Awesome. Thanks, everybody. So as you can see, we I'm now breathing heavy. We gave you the choice for the reason, and my good friend Suzanne, who I used to run with a lot when I lived in Virginia, she's really, really fast runner. And when she broke 3 hours in her marathon, I said, how do you feel? She's like, well, no one's going to like me more, Amanda. And I always loved that saying, and I would use it with my students. No one's going to like you more if you use a 2-point plank or a 6-point plank. So do whatever feels best as long as you can maintain the proper form, and perform it safely. So we're going to start off. We're going to switch the screen here, please, Jonathan, for the first slide. And we're going to just share a little bit of our journey and how physical literacy has impacted our teaching. And so, Bill, you start, please.
Sure. Thank you very much. And just very quickly, thanks for this opportunity. It's I don't think that I have all the answers or together that Amanda and I own the world of physical literacy, but I think that as being part of a community like this and sharing, that's what's going to make this opportunity great for us. And I think that's been part of our journey. We'll talk about that. I don't think there's any other subject discipline that does this. Phys ed seems to be unique in doing things this way, using the internet to share and to work out problems and concerns. And I can say without a doubt, I would not be doing a PhD after 33 years of teaching if I wasn't plugged into a community like this, because you have to connect with those other people who are passionate about the same things you are and that you can learn from. I heard a great analogy yesterday about somebody was introducing a conference about big ideas, and I hope I can talk about sex here. We're all physical educators, right? So his introduction was that ideas are like sex. So as we come out of this conference, those ideas should go forth and multiply, right? Like it should grow upon you. So I thought that was a great analogy. So sorry, Amanda.
It'll wake people up, Bill.
Okay, we're all physical educators, so it's all good.
It's all good, so
yeah. Just a little bit about my journey to physical literacy and a physical literacy-based curriculum. So in 1994, I had the opportunity to open up as a department head of a new high school with a really innovative structure and unique curriculum. For example, our grade 9 program was all integrated. We had a really strong emphasis all those years ago on authentic performance-based assessment. So it was a strong building. We were encouraged to be innovative with our curriculum, how we satisfied our objectives. There was lots of PD. In fact, every week we had slotted every Wednesday morning an hour and a half of common planning time for all the staff to get together. So it was an innovative place. This would end up being a school of about 2,000 students, affluent area, French immersion program, gifted program, so a very academic school. And we thought with those opportunities in that area that we should build a strong program. So as department head, one of my jobs was to schedule teachers in our facility. And I wouldn't dictate to my staff what they had to teach during those blocks of time, but I left it up to them. I thought that was kind of unique because a lot of my colleagues block and say, first week of September, you must be teaching basketball and you must be doing volleyball. I left it open. So I thought that was kind of unique. As I would learn later on, it wasn't all that special. We taught a lot of the traditional sports and activities, generally team sports, because that's what tends to dominate in our classrooms in North America. It was the skill drill and then play the full adult version of the sport. So 5-on-5 basketball on a full court, or if we were lucky, we might cut into 2 half courts with maybe half the kids participating and half the kids sitting out. Well, there's something wrong with that. In our fitness area, we followed, the traditional bodybuilding methodology, sets and reps. When I opened the school, we had the opportunity to buy 15 or 16 fitness club quality machines. Beautiful equipment. Great in our exercise room. You could put 2 kids on a machine. As a teacher, it was safe. It was under control. I didn't have anything to do. It ran like clockwork. So I'd have one kid doing, or a couple kids doing biceps, or another couple kids doing triceps, a couple kids doing leg press. Kids seemed to like it for the most part. Maybe not our female population so much, but it seemed to work and it was safe. Our fitness scores, outstanding. So when we matched our kids up against the norms and standards, we blew through the roof. And in fact, so much that we took the standards that were available for the BEEP test, the multi-stage fitness test, and we rewrote them because our top kids were smashing them to pieces. We ran a big intramural program, large extracurricular program. Our enrollment was strong. Our students, our parents gave us great feedback. And we thought we were doing a pretty good job. We thought we were inclusive, that we were equitable in what we were doing, yet we were still wondering. We had a great staff and a great admin that supported us. We really wondered, were we doing the best for our kids? We kept searching, being reflective. And it's going to sound maybe kind of odd to some, but a real clincher for me was I was proud to be a coach. I coached wrestling football and rugby, and I was proud to tell people those things that I did, but I wasn't always proud to say I was a phys ed teacher because I wasn't convinced. We weren't getting the respect, and I wasn't convinced that what we were doing was all that important at that time. But encouraged by admin, a culture of success in this building, we started to question our practice and constantly wondered about, especially things like assessment, activity levels in our classroom, began to question why we were fitness testing and scoring them against the standard. Who cares if a kid can do 6 out of 10 left-handed layups? We started to wonder why are we bothering with those things. One of the opportunities I had was to spend some time with Grant Wiggins, excuse me, and Jay McTighe, absolute assessment gurus, and they helped change our path. So we continue to wonder, what about our non-athletes in our program? I wondered about my own kids. I have one son who played sport all year round, another no sport, did not play any sports at all, went to Cornell, great academic kid, and I started to wonder, what's that experience like for him? So we knew change needed to happen. We thought we were doing pretty well, but we didn't really think we were there yet. So that was the before shot of what our program looked like before we went to physical literacy.
Yeah, awesome.
Amanda?
Yeah, and so, you know, when I first started my teaching career, I taught middle school PE, and like Bill, you know, there were a lot of real positives. The kids had PE every day. The class sizes were very manageable. I mean, compared to a lot of the classes that I've been in and other teaching environments that I've taught in, a lot of the challenges that a lot of teachers have, I didn't have. But when I would look at the curriculum, it was really a program, and it was very, very traditional sport-based model. And so what I learned, and actually I have a whole bunch of siblings that always remind me how much I don't know, so it was good. But I kept going back to school because I knew by their demeanor that, like, the title for my master's thesis was actually Nice is Not Enough. A task involved motivational climate. I wanted to learn more about, you know, just being nice to the kids. It wasn't enough to necessarily for them to understand what I was trying to teach, develop the competence, and then to transfer it outside of my class. And so, you know, it was just a very adult version of sport-based model. Even though I'd break it down in small-sided games, the intent seemed to be a feeder program for the high school. Again, like Bill, there was amazing people that I worked with. The kids were fantastic. Like, there were so many positives. But when looking back, it was a very dated, even though a lot of the classroom content probably changed huge in the 2 decades previous, the PE probably, what was set out, we were told what to teach and when, was probably the same for 50 years. So I went back to school because I was really curious. It wasn't that I didn't love what I was doing, and that's why I kept going back. And so, as Bill said, we're not the leaders in physical literacy. We just want to share some information and have a conversation, and hopefully we can all go off and apply some of that, just like we want our students to transfer the knowledge. So if you could switch the slide, Jonathan, please. Physical literacy, you know, one of the things, I was on the board of directors for Physical Health Education Canada when we adopted the definition that's being used a lot in the education sector. And there's a couple definitions of physical literacy and that serve the different sectors, which is fine. The really exciting part is that physical literacy has gotten people out of silos, and it's a movement. As Dean Creelar says, you know, and it's a grand experiment, really, where you now have health, sport, and PE at the same table, using the same language and wanting the same thing for our children. And so it's not all the pressure on, you know, physical education with physical literacy, but if we all develop our youth sport and our physical education and all of these programs and extracurricular with physical literacy as the intent, our students are much more likely to develop as physically literate people. So physical literacy, and it's great for those of you in the U.S. because the definition that was adopted by PHE Canada is also the definition that's in the first few paragraphs of the new NASP standards. So it's the same definition written by the same wonderful colleagues at Brock University, led by Jamie Mandigo, and it's just it's wonderful because now they're speaking the same language across, which is really nice because we all come together. New Zealand's done some phenomenal work with physical literacy. Australia's really in the movement. So there's a lot kind of going. The momentum is there. So what is it? Well, physical literacy, by the definition now that physical and health education endorsed, is the one that I'm going to share, is the competence and confidence to be physically active in a wide variety of environments. And then you have the motivation to be active because you know it's good for your health. And you act in ways that benefit the health of others and also benefit the health of your surrounding community, which is so important. And I always show these slides, when I'm presenting, you have one of Lance Armstrong and I have one of this guy named Scott Mercier. And I always say, who's more physically literate? Well, they've never heard of Scott Mercier, but he's someone who rode his bike off into the sunset because he refused to dope. So physical literacy includes that life skills piece. It's not just the competence in how you move, it's what you do with that. And the other beautiful thing about I'm getting ahead of myself. I always do that. Okay, so next slide. So physical literacy is, it's the whole child, and that's a really important piece. So when, the theme for this Summit 2.0 is around assessment, so you can't assess physical literacy if you're just assessing the physical domain, which, so we now want to really document understanding and learning and transfer of that understanding and the understanding of why we want them to understand. Like that's what I really want to know with my students. It's not necessarily, do you understand this, but it's, do you understand why we want you to understand this? Like, are you applying this to the big picture of your life away from school, away from PE? So, what your choices on the weekend and so forth. So really physical literacy, it's that competence piece, so you have that fundamental, when you need to develop the fundamental movement and all that to have that competence that leads to the confidence, perceived confidence, and when you feel like what homework did you do last in school? I always did the homework last in school that I felt the least confident about my abilities in, right? So I would do all the stuff, I love writing in my journal, that will get done first. And then the other stuff, I'm on the bus, I'm 3 minutes pulling in from the school, I'm like, okay, carry the Y, So it's like we do what we feel like we're pretty good at, and so it's really important that we look to develop confidence in these kids in a wide variety of ways. And so physical literacy really supports that. It supports differentiated instruction and meeting kids where they are. So if you can switch, the next slide illustrates how physical literacy is a journey. It's not a destination. And a few people that, and maybe I'll tweet this out after, but you really need to follow Dean Kreelars, you really need to follow Mark Verbeek and Ted Temertzoglu and Jamie Mandigo. These guys in Canada have been just real on the ground, grassroots at all levels, grassroots, national scale, provincial scale, to try to push this movement forward and work together as a team. And you can just see it. It's so exciting. For the first time in my career, sport and PE are like buddies. It's not as we should be. It's good teaching, it's good coaching. We don't want to just teach kids the physical skills in sport and not teach them about transferring like good, healthy life skills outside of sport. And so I just encourage you to follow this journey across a lifespan. And if you look at this diagram and think of A as birth and B as death, and imagine what the K-12 years are, and now think of all the growth and maturation that occurs during the K-12 years. And what potentially is the one area that could really support kids in physical literacy if they can't afford sport, if they don't live in a neighborhood that's safe to be active outside, if they don't live in a family that values physical activity or has the understanding or knowledge of how to support their children's physical activity. When you have classroom teachers who don't feel comfortable leading activity in a way that supports their development as physically literate people. So really it's that quality PE piece that has to be there to really support kids in this really crucial time. And Dr. Colin Higgs, who's a wonderful researcher, I saw him lead a session on early specialization in sport and growth and maturation in kids. And that window of time where it's so important to teach certain skills, or else they will have developed so much that then it's very difficult for them to go back and learn specific skills. So finding that window within K-12 PE is very, very important. So then, the next slide just illustrates that it's when the definition talks about the diverse environments, it talks about land, snow, ice, and water. And that's easier for some, like a kid like me who grew up in Nova Scotia. There's lots of snow, ice, water. It's a peninsula, not an island, by the way. Lots of land. There's not a lot of people there. And so there might be more of a challenge for someone in Florida to develop, physical literacy skills in snow, right? But how can we, for the most part, thinking of different surfaces? So maybe it's, modified ultimate frisbee on snowshoes in the snow. It works on sending and receiving skills, but it also really works on, cardio, and it really works on athletic movement and putting yourself in more environments so that you build muscles and strengthen your body, but you also gain competence in the different ways. And then the other really awesome piece of physical literacy is this fact that it's individualized. And so I have this image to really show that it doesn't, physical literacy welcomes everyone. You might be born with one leg and be more physically literate than the star of the high school football team because you choose to be active in a variety of ways, and maybe you're involved at the community level to make things more accessible and provide more para-sport opportunities. Maybe you're working to raise funds to buy adapted equipment so that people will stop buying equipment without thinking. People who literacy can be individualized. And now I just want to, in saying that, I want to see if Daniel or Nathan have anything they want to add to this or share anything briefly related to physical literacy in their school communities. And if not, that's fine. There's no pressure. And then Bill's going to kind of show how a model that he took based on this definition I just summarized helped him and his team at his school really transform their program.
Well, I know for my school at least that when I came into it 5 years ago, the parents came to me, and their whole goal was not to teach the kids basketball, football, things like that, but just how to move and how to be there and how to do all the things in the neighborhood that we try to involve them in, from cycling to skateboarding to just running.
Awesome. I love hearing the cycling and the skateboarding and these active modes of transportation. That it's one other way to really support kids, physical literacy journey. And why not? If you can bike to school, why not bike to work when you're older? And so really having the infrastructure and policy in place that supports that. So that's great. Nathan, did you have anything that you wanted to or willing to share?
Yeah, just sort of still trying to figure all this out. It's the first time doing something like this, but I wanted to saying that this is a pretty good experience. Being able to connect with all these people. In Australia over here in my class, what we've been doing over the last 12 months is really placing the focus on getting kids active, getting them to move, and really appreciate the movement. So coming into a discussion like this is going to be quite powerful. Taking it to the next level, what we can actually do to make the connections for the learning, and strengthen it a lot more. So yeah, I know that's my little bit there.
That's
and
great.
Opportunity.
That's awesome. Everything. There's some chat here. People are concerned that there's some echoes and everything, but it sounds really good from my end. Just so you know, everyone sounds real clear. So, thanks, guys. We're real nice. We've kind of forced them to come on into this room with us today. Definitely, Nathan gets the gold star for the whole summit. He's up at 2 in the morning to participate. So, I give him the gold star. It's awesome. So now, that's obviously a very quick summary. Also, we'll send out a link when I give you the names of some of those people that I suggested. You just kind of keep an eye on what they're doing in maybe their school district or throughout their province or what have you, or throughout the country. Also want to share with you some information from the PhD Canada website that they've done a lot of work. And so there's some different websites that you can go. We're summarizing things because we want to give a lot of opportunity to talk, and we're already at 9:31. So zip it, Amanda. Bill, by the way, can you believe, Bill, 33 years of teaching physical education, and he retires, and 2 weeks later he starts his PhD in physical education. Is that not, he's already gotten gold stars, so that's the only reason. I mean, if that's not setting the bar for all of us, I mean, talk about low ego and wise and just, I mean, my goodness, I'm just, yeah, very humbled that he was willing to present with me today. So, Bill, you're up, and we need the model up there, Jonathan. You're awesome. You already got it up. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Amanda. You know, I'll mention you in my as part of my journey here in a second. Physical literacy actually was part of my research proposal for admittance to the PhD program, so it had a direct link to this. So to tell the story of how we got to physical literacy, I could take the whole hour, but let's just say we had a department of 11 or 12 staff, and a variety of backgrounds. We had some teachers that were educated in the U.S., in Canada, in France. We had a teacher who taught in Japan for a while. So when we brought all these people together, we had a great department. I'm a big idea guy. I like to focus on the overall picture. You know, I really got from Wiggins and Jay McTighe that we need clear targets for our kids. And they need to see the big picture, not just those little inches. So, as I said, we were ready for change. In Canada, our curriculum objectives are very broad, so we can satisfy them in any number of ways. So that really opened the door for us. The problem for us, where we developed this program in Ontario, was that our last curriculum release was in late 1990. So it was out of date. Like the kids were born after the curriculum was developed, so it wasn't relevant anymore. We knew physical literacy was coming, so we thought, let's go. We're just going to develop physical literacy as our core, and we're going to work towards that. So at times we felt we were working in isolation. Our district of 20-25 high schools, a large district, was not strong in physical literacy. So we needed things like this. You know, and as an educator, because we were a little bit aggressive, I heard from our colleagues in our department, it's not from our department, I can't do that. My principal won't give me the time or the money, the PD. And to me, those are just excuses. There was a great quote on Twitter last week from a member of the phys ed community, quoting a fellow, Dylan William, out of the University of London, and read, "We create a culture where every teacher believes they need to improve, not because they're not good enough, because they can be even better. There's no limit to what we can achieve." I thought that was awesome. It really describes what our journey should be about, and that we need to continue to reflect on our practice. If, you know, to quote our friend Ted Temertzoglu, we need to be the change agent. You know, it's our responsibility. So because we have that attitude that we want to change, we want to better for ourselves, we took advantage of every key opportunity we had. That was education, some of our department textbook writing, resource writing, partnerships with universities in our community, businesses. We really dove in to try and get off this model. We had a real storm of opportunity that we took advantage of, and I guess one of the pieces along the way was a blog that Amanda wrote a few years ago, and it connected there. The link is there with the graphic, and I think it's called "Phys Ed Ain't What It Used to Be." And what it did for us was we've been working on this journey for a little bit. It put into words on one document how we felt. And so now we could articulate and explain and talk with to one another about it. Then I guess about 2 years ago, we saw at a physical literacy summit, and we had 6 of our staff, and it really motivated. Like, we were just blown away. There were other people with same thoughts and beliefs that we were, and we really needed to see that. We weren't in isolation. So we were sold on physical literacy. We've heard about the definitions, about the whole. We needed to change our curriculum focus and our instructional strategies to achieve that. So if there's one big takeaway from all of this that I got out of approaching physical literacy was I no longer just taught physical education. I taught students, and not groups. I taught individuals that each bring a unique history, experience, background, classroom. So it's a big change. So what does our instruction look like? What's the pedagogy of physical literacy for us? So a few assumptions behind the model that developed that fit with it, and you've heard from Matt. First is that it's about each unique individual in our class. Not a standard, not a fitness test score. It's about what that unique individual is capable of. It's about movement competency and competence, which is different for each person. It's not a standard. We know that we know that if you are more likely to enjoy movement, if you enjoy movement, you're more likely to know that if you don't know how to move, or if it hurts. And ironically, I was one of those kids. I grew really fast, really big and heavy, and movement hurt. And so it took me a long time to develop that enjoyment of movement. So if you're not going to move, play, explore, go outside, then it's not going to happen for you. And with that movement, it must be fun. So when your kids it's a big piece of it. The kids also need to develop their own understanding to make it work. It's about them discovering, learning that things are transferable. That what we learn in the class can apply to any sport, any activity, and very important to everyday life. And as I think Margaret Whitehead's term is, this is through the life course. That's what we want. We want to set those kids up for a lifetime. And finally, we must reach everybody, no matter their ability. We have to be inclusive, accessible education for everybody. So you see those elements reflected in the model. Here we go. There's nothing new here. It's just a package we thought was a little bit different, that we had worked to try and engage kids. And like a good teacher, a lot of the stuff in there we've stolen from others. We brought it together. So I think that's a good skill as a teacher. So in the 6 circles surrounding physical literacy, we see those as core essentials of a physical literacy program. To the words and weight are connectors. They're links. So those are kind of the main benefits of that particular circle, that particular core outcome. They're not exclusive to that element. They fit anywhere in the circle, but we wanted to make sure that those were recognized. So, for example, if we're helping students develop their fundamental movement skills, that's going to help with their competency and confidence.
Hey, Bill. I think. Bill, can you hear me? Sorry, there is a really bad echo, Bill, so they muted you because we've been getting a lot of text that it's really echoes bad when you're speaking. I don't know. I think he's still speaking. I don't know that he's. Daniel and Jonathan, can you hear Amanda right now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I've got you, Amanda.
Okay, so maybe switch the screen so Bill knows that he unfortunately was muted, and we're trying to share all this great stuff, but it's not clear. Bill's in a very rural part of Nova Scotia, and so I'm thinking that maybe that has something to do with that. Sarah is sending a text. Sarah, can you send that to Jonathan? Because I can't try to tell Bill what to do and present at the same time. Thank you. So this model, and we're going to send these slides will be up for you to see. Bill, I'm really sorry you had to get cut off, but people couldn't really hear you because it was really muffled. And there's going to be some, I'm just going to copy and paste. Thanks, everybody, for your patience. But this is, Sarah sent a text with a suggestion. So, Bill, in the chat box, there's something that they want you to try with your settings to make it a little more clear. So, and Daniel, I guess you're echoing as well, so they want you to try it too.
All right.
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody. So I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit, and then if we can, we'll make sure they get that taken care of, and then we'll have Bill come back to lead an activity and for question and answers. That sound cool? Is that okay with you, Bill?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
sorry about that. So, Jonathan, if you could put it on the next screen, and if you watched the keynote, you know, the real theme for this summit is assessment, and so we just wanted to touch upon, you know, some issues with assessing physical literacy. And so I use this analogy because it makes the most sense in my pea brain. So when I'm tending to my garden, certain vegetables need certain things, and I adjust accordingly. So maybe some need to be planted in a different area of the yard the next year, or, you know, maybe some need more water, or maybe some need like a little bit different soil. And so I use different, I respond differently depending on what is, you know, what I see. And so that's the same with assessment. When we're looking at assessing physical literacy, we want to, you know, it's individualized, so we want to really understand that and use assessment as a way to guide people on their individual journeys. When we look at what an 8-year-old might look like, and how you have two 8-year-olds, and one might be 2 feet taller than the other one, you know, really understanding they grow at different rates. They grow. Some grow a lot, some don't grow as much, and so forth. And so they need time to come into their body. So understanding that and teaching them as such is very important. The next square is coming back. The next image of coming back to this idea that it's the whole child. And so when we're assessing, we have to really be mindful of assessing the whole child to inform them within their physical literacy journey. So psychomotor, cognitive, affective, and fitness. And within there, keeping in mind, you know, if you're assessing the psychomotor, if we want to be true to physical literacy, looking at different environments, so the different surfaces, like I said, land, ice, or is there some on wheels, or some on, you know, so what kind of equipment are they using for this? So that's very important. And when we're assessing the cognitive, always keeping in mind, it's not just what they know, but it's that they understand why it's important that they know it, and that they can demonstrate an understanding of how to transfer it. Because we don't just care if they know, we care if they know how to transfer it, and we care if they know why it's important to transfer it, right? Because that's that long-term understanding piece that we really want to get at. So really, you know, as the next slide, just formative assessment is assessment for learning, and then there's a visual that shows how the feedback on the left of this visual, that exemplifies, so the next slide, Jonathan, please, that exemplifies the feedback that the teacher is receiving. So it's the feedback that the teacher is receiving, then the light bulb goes off for the teacher and makes adjustments, accommodates, maybe it's equipment, maybe it's boundaries, maybe it's task or time. So maybe it's, okay, you only use your non-dominant foot. Okay, I need you to make sure you all touch the ball once before anybody touches it twice. And you put in these constraints to make sure that everybody's having an opportunity to practice at a rate that's appropriate for them. And then you see the light bulb go off with the students. Sweet. And then you have to up the ante a little bit, right? You challenge them a little bit more. They demonstrate something else, an authentic environment, and then you receive this feedback again as the teacher that informs your brain to have the light bulb go off, which is always fantastic. So the question, and the next slide, is this summative piece is of learning. Do they really, really understand it? But then really the next question is, the next slide, is summative assessment, having the conversation around, is it obsolete because it is a journey over a lifetime, and do we really does the student have to know in February, be able to do this by February, and do we not give the student a chance to demonstrate it in June, knowing what we know about people learning at different rates? And so this is a conversation that's happening in a lot of different content areas, people moving from performance to proficient-based assessment and grading practices, and it's something that, I think the conversation needs to happen, in our discipline, and something that we need to be aware of. So I'm hoping Bill's stuff works again, and I just want Bill to, Bill, do you want to share this next? We'll try your slide. I don't want to talk too much.
Yeah, is it, if you can hear me okay, there's no echo, let me know. I still hear an echo.
Yeah, there's still a little bit of an echo.
Oh, you all are getting so ripped off. We can't have Bill. I'm so sorry. Daniel, can you say something? Let's see how yours is working.
We'll see if I'm still echoing. Yep.
You're not really getting, you get to hear Bill. You're still echoing too? That's so interesting, and yeah, I'm sorry. We're sorry, everybody. It was working fine before, but so thank you so much for sticking with us. And Bill and Daniel, make sure you throw some chat and comments in the comment feature if there's a question or something you want me to hit on. Looking at the assessment of physical literacy, there have been some tools that have been developed. And so, Jonathan, if you could just put that screen up, maybe it's there already. Really looking at, you know, actually not that one. Go back a couple where you have Passport for Life and the play image. Yeah, awesome. So that's you know, these two different programs, they have the same color. Some of the same people were behind the development of both tools. And I wrote a blog just so you can get a summary of these tools. You don't have to use these tools, but you can examine them, and they're free and they're available to you. One was developed for like community sport level parents and youth to assess themselves. The one on the right, the physical literacy assessment of youth, and some people have taken pieces of it and used it, you know, quite successfully for their purposes in PE. The other one, Passport for Life, was developed for education purposes. So they support, they have the cognitive, to assess the competence, so they have samples to assess the whole child, if you will, and they are, the Passport for Life, it's an online platform. It's put out by Physical and Health Education Canada. The play tools were put out by Canada Sport for Life. And so again, you know, it's great. You have all these people coming together, and if the definitions might differ a little bit for the different sectors, because it serves that sector a little bit better with the different definition, that's not a negative. I mean, it's all good. We're all in this movement together, and it's going to take a coordinated, comprehensive, very like stay the course approach. You know, so it just can't be, oh yeah, we'll have physical literacy as the intent here, and some people are like, is it just good teaching? Is it just quality PE? And yeah, you know, if you have PE where there's some community service learning components of it, if you have where they're learning how to give back and demonstrating this understanding of transfer of knowledge and so forth, then yeah, you know, you could say that, but it just, the PE is where they get the foundation. So, you know, ask yourself, how physically literate are you now? You know, how physically literate are you now? I have an injury in my hip. I'm kind of freaking out about it. But if I go off and try to work on it and train it, that's not making a healthy choice for my body, right? And so I have to remind myself, be physically literate. You know. So it takes in a whole lot of information. So Bill, we're going to try again because Sarah sent me a text and said your echo wasn't bad that time.
Okay, I don't know. No, I don't.
We have 10 minutes left, I guess. So, so Bill said we have used. You go ahead and say that.
You go ahead, Bill.
All I'm hearing is echoes again.
Okay. If it's too distracting for you, then. So Bill's team used Passport for Life in the classrooms for the last couple of years as assessments for grades 3 to 6, 7 to 9, 10 to 12. For Passport for Life, we used the full teacher package. And so, Bill, it is something that you submit everything online, and you know, it's a web-based free program. Yeah?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so in lieu of time, we're going to jump down, and there's to the one, Jonathan, where there's the two circles, the two different models. I think a key thing, and again, this was a little bit of a message that was in the keynote, is, you know, we have comprehensive school approach or health promoting schools, and within both of them is, you know, quality physical education. And so again, going back to that A to B slide of how critical those years are, we have to, as PE teachers, our standards have physical literacy as the intent. We have a national organization in Canada that adopts a term to say that this is what we want the movement, this is what we want our curriculums to be based on, with physical literacy as the intent. I think it's so important that as the PE teachers, we also champion this movement within the healthy school approach, whether you call it health promoting schools or whether you call it comprehensive school health, to really come together and say, okay, so all right, so you are okay, why have an active transportation week or a day? Walk to school day. It always boggles my mind. Why one a day, one a year? Oh, well, we can't, they live too far away. Okay, can we not drop them off 800 meters from school and have a walking school bus every day? Why does the bus stop need to be right in front of the door? You know, so really thinking about some of these things and trying to shift the mindset around, oh, we can't do that. Why can't we do it? Can we really not do it, or do we just not want to try change because we don't like change? So that's a really good question. So what I want you to do now is this action step. So you see this person running. So that's you. You look great. Nice form. Okay, so we're running, and what I want you to do is document. And Daniel, since you have some of this echo too, but if you want to document based on what you heard today, 1 or 2 action steps that you will take in the next 2 weeks based on information from today. 1 or 2 action steps, whether it be to your teaching or your lesson, maybe it's revisiting a curriculum, maybe it's having a meeting with someone. What's 1 or 2 action steps that you will do based on this discussion in the next 2 weeks? So we want to measure that to make sure it happens, right? But we also don't want to say by Monday because that could stress people out.
Hopefully I'm not echoing, but I'm meeting with my PTA later this week to talk about a walk to school and a ride to school day and setting it up at school. But we have the issue of being a really busy road. So
yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I love your accent too, Daniel.
Thank you.
So on the back channel, Lisa shared the whole staff working on the importance of essential questions, promoting DOK for students and physical literacy, which is great. And then and sometimes people, okay, so an issue did come up, which is a very real one. Someone, Daniel shared that, you know, sometimes it's if a school is next to a really busy road, which is absolutely an issue. Kids aren't cognitively developed at age 6 to navigate crossing a street to know how fast the car is moving and how they need to respond. So we never want to put them in situations that are unsafe, where they're not developmentally appropriate to make healthy decisions. That's obviously not what we want. But we also, a lot of times you'll find that there's legislation that's been passed that say kids can't ride their bike on a sidewalk with a helmet over the age of 7. Well, that's ludicrous if the street's busy, right? So getting some of this stuff reversed and getting on some of these committees where we can, you know, build sidewalks and build or separate bike lanes or some of these things, which is so important. Lisa on the back, oh, someone else said on the back channel, we have after-school running program, kids, that it promotes physical literacy. Kids not otherwise involved in the sport love it. Exactly. So you know, providing opportunities for kids and not stripping them of the opportunities, I think is a great kind of mission statement for a school related to their physical activity. And I know some of you have heard me say it a couple times, but they didn't ask to be put in this bubble that adults have put them in. They want to move. Look at a toddler. Come look at my kids and they mess my head. They're like a human wrecking machine is what their dad called them this morning. You know, just they don't want to sit. They want to move. What happens? We put them in this bubble all the time and we strip them of the opportunity to move. And so we're stripping them of their opportunity to develop their physical literacy. And so in our lessons, like having the definition as our guide to a comprehensive program is so key. Does anybody have a question related to something? Or Bill, I know it might be distracting for you to talk, but I'm getting messages that you actually sound okay to others. If it's not too distracting, I want to give you the floor if there's anything you want to share. Or
Yeah, I like your last answer. I think it's really important to offer a wide variety of opportunities for kids because you never know quite what's going to catch a student. As Amanda knows, we ran a combatives program. So it was wrestling, fitness, jiu-jitsu, self-defense, and that drew a whole other set of kids into our program.
That is so great. That is I love that. And the body awareness that comes with those particular activities that transfers over to everything else. So maybe it was that hooked them because the playing field was leveled. Then they get to really increase their competence related to body awareness. Then they might be more willing to go out for the other things that previously they wouldn't show up for. So I love that.
Yeah, and just a couple more things from the back channel.
Yeah.
Pam PET says that they have also used the passport tools.
Great.
And then they recommend play to PE specialists and passport actually to their general education teachers.
Yes.
Great. And also,
yeah, and just, oh, go ahead.
Sorry. And also, PE Nathan Horns has a great question. He asks, how do you motivate a kid who would rather play Minecraft than go out and move?
I think the first thing is, for me, well, Bill, do you want to answer it first?
Yeah, I think we've had great success with that. That's the whole change in the style of your program, and that we have to provide scaffolded experience for kids. Once they get a little bit of success, it'll grow from there. We offer a kid an opportunity to play with in environments that they feel comfortable, then it'll grow from there. So it's a full package approach to it, and if there's no one single solution.
Yeah, and the other thing that I would share, that I know Nathan, I can only imagine he does a phenomenal job of this anyway, but when I had one student at the elementary level in 2010, I honestly, I couldn't even get her to speak to me for a long time, and I did everything that I thought that I could, and then I just happened to find out through walking in her classroom one time she was drawing a picture of a shark, and she loved sharks. Well, MacGyver likes sharks, and so he had this shark book that he had when he was, a younger kid, and I took the book in and I said, "Do you want to borrow this book? I think, I know you like sharks." And that was, she totally opened up from that. She would, the center dweller, just try to avoid everything, like, just really didn't want to be in there at all. And then it was for that particular child, it was the community, that relationship piece. I was a new teacher to the school, and just really developing that. So in addition to trying to level the playing field or make a connection to some type of interest, but getting to know them and really never underestimating the power of those amazing colleagues in the classroom, of how well they know their team of students because they get to spend so much time with them each day, and so really reaching out. But I know Nathan would do that anyway, so. But for maybe if there's a pre-service teacher listening, that might be a good suggestion.
Yeah,
and Daniel,
it's a shame the effort goes there.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to provide a couple bits of evidence. We had 2 grade 9 classes take their only compulsory credit, and then the next year, 100% of those kids enrolled in grade 10.
That's crazy. So 100% of grade 9s enrolled for the grade 10 in 2 classes, even though it wasn't required or mandated.
Correct.
So that just tells you the program that Bill and his colleagues offered. That's just so inspiring. And Daniel shared that his goal is to try to get his kids to try everything. Who knows what they're going to love down the road? That's great. And when I'm giving my kids a new food, we have this thing, 5 bites to be polite. And so just teaching our students, like, I understand that this may not be your thing, but, if you could, come up with a little rhyme or something to show, that just shows me that we have a mutual respect. I'm going to do what I need to do to hook you, and you just, because some of us teach where we have highly motivated kids with really engaged parents, whatever, and some of us teach, and I've been in gyms where people have 45 students and no teaching assistant, and in a community where maybe there's not parental support and there's not a strong tradition, so understanding the different environments in which we teach and what you need to do that. I know we need to wrap up. You all are amazing for coming to the session. We apologize for a few of the technical difficulties, but you know where to find Bill and I, and Daniel too. His Twitter handle's up there, and Daniel's been really great getting to know and collaborate with. So our emails are there as well as our Twitter handles. And peace out. Go unplug and get the heck outside and have an awesome weekend. Jonathan, I'll hand it over to you.
And also, remember that at the end of the Phys Ed Summit, this link is to the feedback summary, which will also enter you into the raffle to win those great Spark prizes. So remember to fill out the feedback survey. Coming up next in your conference program is a 15-minute brain break, Spark. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and visit your conference program and click on the link.
Yeah, and also thanks to everybody at physedagogy.com and at physedagogy for their amazing service to their profession through all the time and work it takes to coordinate this. So you all are real champions, and we bow to you. So thank you so much.
Thank you, and everyone have a great rest of your Sunday, and remember that in 15 minutes...
Saturday.
Sorry. Saturday. Sunday for some people. Saturday for...
Yeah, good point, Jonathan.
Saturday for some people.
Good point.
In 15 minutes, Block 2 is coming up with our roundtable, so stay tuned for that also. Take care, everybody.